Welcome to another episode of Chef Knives to Go Quick Look Product Reviews. I'm Steve Gamache, and what we have is the classic. This is the Konosuke HD2 Gyuto 240mm with the key ebony laurel handle. So the steel on this is well loved by professionals and home cooks and chefs alike for many years. It is a HD2 semi-stainless steel. It's a proprietary blend, and it is excellent. It's easy to sharpen. It sharpens up like a good reactive high-carbon steel, but it's semi-stainless, so it'll take a light patina over time. But it holds a reasonable edge and is great on the stones. So fine grain, takes a wicked edge. Heat treats about 61 Rockwell. The construction is mono steel, so it's one piece of steel. There's no cladding or layers, and it's basically laser cut piece and then ground to shape. Some people do prefer the feel of a mono steel knife as far as what it feels like on the board versus a clad knife, so that is a bonus point to this style of blade for some. The weight and dimensions are pretty similar from knife to knife. The handle's a little bit heavier on this than the pure laurel handle because ebony's a heavy, dense wood. So this one's 162 grams or 5.7 ounces. Edge length is right about 235mm or 9¼ inches. Overall length is about 15.5 or 393 millimeters. Spine thickness is about 2.5 coming out of the handle, so these have enough meat to them to do a nice contour on the grind from the spine down to the edge. So about 2.5 millimeters, about halfway down I measured 2.1, and this pretty much has a classic distal taper that just starts slimming up at the spine until you get thinner and thinner towards a tip that's quite thin and a very good performer, as well as the edge, which is quite thin. And again, this is a classic, I keep using that same word, but it's a kind of one of the standard laser category type blades that's been classified as that for a long time now. So it's a genuine kind of laser performer. Blade height is about 49 millimeters at the heel, so it's got plenty of height for finger clearance on it. The handles are these Key brand excellent octagonal handles with very good fit and finish and very tight, clean installs at the tang. The handles have a little bit of a rounded butt end to them, and you can see they're fairly thin this way, standard kind of height, but fairly thin that way. So they're about 70 millimeters in circumference where the two woods meet, and so they're a little on the thin side. People have been remarking that they like the feel of these handles. They kind of disappear in your hand, especially on a classic pinch style grip. This wood is a little bit denser, so it brings the balance point back just slightly from the laurel handle that's all laurel. So this handle has ebony and then a laurel ferrule on it. But you can see the balance point's just a little bit further back than the other knife I just did, which is the laurel. But fairly close on the balance point. The fit and finish is very, very good. They've got a polished spine. It's rounded. There's a polished and rounded choil into the neck, so it's quite comfortable. The left side of the blade has some etched kanji and then the HD for the steel. And this one has a little bit of depth to it, so it's kind of embossed into the metal a little bit. You can see there's enough, and this is just a little bit of streaking on the finish that you can clean up, but there's enough thickness at the spine where you can see a little bit of a contour to the grind, which helps performance and food release. These have food release that's better than you would expect given the style of blade. Here's the right side of the blade as you'd be holding it. Give you a little close-up of the kanji and the HD there. So just excellent out of the box edge, 6, maybe 7 out of 10 on my scale. Great performers. They've got a classic profile as well. It's just good all around, easy to use, very versatile profile. So you flow into a bit of a kind of a general stop at the heel, so there's a good section back there for chopping. The middle part works well for a lot of techniques. Then you've got a little bit of belly towards the front, and that means I can get up in this area here, so I can get fairly high, so I can rock this pretty well. Push-pull cuts, glide cuts, that kind of stuff. A little bit of chopping towards the back, so it's just a really good all-around profile. Again, these have Many people have used these knives over the years, including a lot of professionals, and they just work. They're great steel, excellent performers, nice fit and finish. Just, again, a classic package with an updated key handle on there. So this is the Konosuke HD2 Gyuto 240mm knife in the Ebony Laurel key handle.